Okay, so today's talk on digital journalism will hopefully be a little shorter because we've got two in this week's folder, digital journalism and broadcast journalism. So we're going to do slightly shorter, but hopefully you can watch them back to back. Okay, so with digital journalism, um, most of you are probably not reading newspapers. I used to survey my classes, and I would get a lot of them reading newspapers 10, 15 years ago, and now only one or two are. But it doesn't really matter as long as they're reading papers online. Um, it's coming from the same source. But a lot of dead tree newspapers, like they call it here, have gone away. Afternoon newspapers in general. There's something called the Joint Operating Agreement, where two newspapers would be joined together, a morning and an afternoon paper, and the afternoon papers just died because it was history by the time they came out. So some newspapers are going online. It offers media readers more variety and control. You can navigate more easily. It's got a sense of timeliness, and it generally uses larger photos to catch the eye in print. And then the website uses smaller images. Print uses smaller text versus the web using larger text. And so we're now starting to think online. That's the new motto, think online first, and not so new at this point. But during the transition from print to online, when many publications were going totally online, the ones that weren't were saying, well, we still need to think online first because that's where people are going to get our stories first, the majority. Web stories, you want to think about them as packages. Web stories can include audio, video, links to related information, or other interactive elements. You can be navigating the news online with a homepage. That's usually kind of the gateway, the first stop. It's got to be comprehensive, easy to navigate, and have really compelling headlines, accurate, compelling headlines. Key homepage element will have the time and the date, an index often, a lead story, page design for single screen display, so you can see everything at once. Real clear navigation buttons, a search engine, so you can search for the story that you want. You also see a lot of links, some ads and promotions, and some interactive extras like quizzes or interactive graphics. And like I said, the links are going to be an important part. And then at the bottom, a footer. Media convergence is another word for newsroom convergence. In this case, is where you've got more than one kind of media outlet together. Journalists from different media share the same workspace. News gathering convergence, reporters, editors, and photographers collaborate on projects together. They're working together as part of a team. So team work is becoming more and more important in newsrooms. You can be good at various things, but generally people aren't a master of all trades, right? Aziz Ansari, a master of none. You can be a jack of all trades, but probably not a master of all. So then what happens is people do teamwork with the different media elements. Content convergence is you combine the final story is going to be combined of different elements with text, images, blogs, podcasts, slideshows, what have you. You'd have different delivery options that might be the best for certain ways. So you use print to explain. Multimedia is to show, videos to show, use interactives to demonstrate and get people engaged. Really important, you'll hear that's kind of a buzzword now, engagement. And multimedia has video, audio, webcasts and webcams, podcasts, animated graphics. Interactive is live chats, reader feedback and comments, and hopefully the comments haven't gone away entirely. There's a new kind of trend to monitor them, to take out some of the trolls and to move up top comments that are voted on by the publication themselves or the readers. Online polls and quizzes and downloads. Links usually refer back to the archive. So if you come into this story and it's already been happening for a couple weeks, you can go back and reread on everything from beforehand. Other websites sometimes that are talked about in the story, or organizations that are talked about in the story. Also editorials or columns that address the same issue, and sometimes additional story elements too. Blogs, a way to get viewpoints in. Who creates blogs? Well, journalists do, and then non-journalists. Sometimes it's the participants in breaking news, and people who monitor what's new and newsworthy. Blogs are important because they do express opinion. They're part of kind of a democratic uh, the democratization of media as well. Everybody has a voice and can express it. I wouldn't say it replaces journalism. It's more of a journalistic supplement, right? Because you still need your journalism. That's where you're going to get factual, verified information that's gone through an editor. Blogs you can't trust in that perspective, but you can get a sense of what people are thinking and what their opinions are. Okay, so tips for creating user-friendly news stories for websites. You want to chunk your information, put it into tinier pieces, right? Tweak it so you're typed to make it easier to scan. So how people can look through it. Maybe you have bold headlines here so people can look at it. And in your book, it'll talk about the the Poynter Institute and the iCam or the eye track, where they follow people's eyeballs as they look all over the page, and they look at the photos and they look at the headlines and they look at the captions. You want to make it easy for them to figure out what's important in the story. You can even rethink what a story is, enhance your story with extra elements, right? This idea of packaging, working together, collaborating, very popular now. Writing for online media, there's an online package planning guide, like we had a multimedia or a package guide before. This is similar to that. Ask the team what the story is really about, get to the essence of it, do the same thing that you did with the other one, summarize in 25 words or less. You want to think like a reader and organize it, distribute copies to people, and then get their feedback. Journalism and social media. You sometimes use it to report via crowdsourcing. Hey, post on Facebook. Has anybody had this experience? Christmas sales this year are supposed to be record breaking. What's your Christmas plan? Where do you shop? Are you going online? Are you going to a certain mall? Will you stay over? Will you leave before Thanksgiving dinner? Whatever the story is, you don't know yourself from your own experience enough. You crowdsource it. You ask people you know, and you can do that on various sites, including your own Facebook account or other social media. It's also good to break the news on social media. And Twitter is very common, and write and promote the copies that you've got as your story comes out. I've seen reporters tweet live from various places to give continuous updates. Social networks can contribute to your stories before you write, while you write, and after you publish a story. So all levels of it. Various reasons why journalists should use social media, and this is again this kind of engagement piece, which is very important today. One is it's where your audience is. That's where you guys live, I'm assuming, or we wouldn't be doing this online course. It's an easy, effective way to cover breaking news. You can constantly update it. You don't have to wait for the paper to come out the next day. It directs traffic to your publication's website, and everybody's doing analytics and counting how many clicks they get, and extends the shelf life of stories you produce. I mean, I had a story that we were able to replay a year later on social media, on National Public Radio's website, on Facebook. It helps you engage with your readers, and it improves your reporting, right? You can have the back and forth of engaging with your readers, and sometimes it can say, here, this happened to me. The piece that I did for NPR was on POW camps in the Chicago area that housed Nazis. And a lot of people read the piece and said, oh, I remember, do you know anything about this camp? I remember it being across the street from me here, and I was always wondering. And we can look into it. I could follow up on my own story with suggestions from the audience. So it improves your reporting. It can also improve your writing when you get that kind of feedback. But think before you tweet, right? I mean, this is incredibly fast medium, but you want to think about your online impact. One tweet can sink you. Could even cost you your job. You want to be conversational and relax your standard. Relax not your standards, but your style. So you keep the journalistic standards. You verify, fact check everything. Don't speculate, but you can be more informal in tone. You can be more conversational because it is, in fact, social media. Be aware of what your newsroom policies are on what is acceptable for Twitter posts. Some places don't allow it. Some places want you to be really neutral, nothing personal. Be mindful of your exchanges with readers. You don't want to get hostile with your readers, obviously, but sometimes it does happen. Okay, so we're done on this one. We'll hit broadcast journalism on Chapter 9 coming up next. Thanks.